Well, we've had a couple of board meetings since our last track meeting. We had a board meeting at the end of August that was, like many of the board meetings have been this summer, focused on the kind of buses the PSTA buys, and also our budget plan to add service. We also got a presentation that you're going to receive in just about a moment from Walt Lenz and his counterpart over at Hart about our new Flamingo mobile payment system. So I think that was the main discussion in August, followed by our first budget hearing. PSTA, as a local government organization, just like all the other local government cities and counties, every September has to have 2 public hearings on our budget, and we had a budget hearing number 1 that the board approved the budget for next year, and voted, 9-4 in favor of adjusting our millage to the 0.75 level in exchange for increasing services increasing the bus routes on nights and weekends, primarily nights and weekends, by about $1.1 million worth. So that looks pretty good. There'll be our next board meeting is next Wednesday on the 28th, and that'll be also at night at 6 o'clock. You're all invited to come and say what you want to say about the proposal to add service. But that'll be at the beginning of the meeting, the second hearing, and that'll be probably the main thing on the agenda. So that's what's going on with the board update.
Do we know what time that board meeting starts?
6 o'clock.
6? Okay.
And first thing will be the budget hearing, and then we'll take care of that, and then the rest of the agenda is relatively light. Although whenever I say that means we'll have 3 hours. So
Public comment will last 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, super. It's a great, I encourage you guys, if you can come to that, anytime you can come to a board meeting, it's always wonderful, because there's just so much, I end up with so much information coming out of it, but you also see the way that the board really takes what we provide to staff at this meeting and really gets a lot out of it. I mean, we're not here just doing a lightweight job. The board really respects the information they get from this committee regarding what the writers are interested in seeing, and they really, I mean, they take it to heart. So it's great to see that put into action, I think. And I also see, I have to compliment staff, PSTA staff too, because typically the presentations that we see here, they take the feedback that we give them and then often address that in the presentation going forward to the board.
Yes.
So it's really, I just really enjoy the board meetings from the standpoint of just being able to see what we do actually being put into action. I feel like we're accomplishing something, I guess, by being here. So, okay, moving on then. Has everyone had a chance to read the July 2016 meeting minutes? I will entertain a motion to approve those if there's no changes.
Can I make a motion?
Sure, absolutely. Gloria, second. Elizabeth, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Awesome. And our first presentation is from Chris Cochran and Gabriel Donaldson on the Direct Connect expansion contract. Well, I said Gabriel, but I just
Okay, while we're getting this up there, for those of you who I haven't met yet, welcome to TRAC. My name is Chris Cochran. I work in planning, and I work alongside with Cassandra and everybody else in the department. Gabrielle is Donaldson works in transportation, and she's kind of managing the Direct Connect program as we move on. as we move on from our pilot phase, and we're here to talk to you about the expansion of this program. For those of you who weren't here when we first launched this was a first of its kind pilot project in the United States, where a transit agency partnered with a TNC, Uber and Lyft and those sorts of companies to be able to actually subsidize rides for customers to be able to get to or from bus stops. And we started a small pilot area in Pinellas Park, and people were able to either begin or end their trips at a location in Pinellas Park. And if you stayed within a certain boundary, we subsidized your ride 50% with our subsidy capping out at $3. We had some great success from the pilot program. We received an enormous amount of national attention. It really brought this situation where people's demand to use TNCs and the need for agencies to start to look into how we integrate it into our system really brought it to the forefront, and it's really a subject that if you all are transit riders, you'll be seeing more news about from not just PSTA, but other agencies across the nation. So with that, as we sort of wind down our 6-month pilot program, we're looking to expand it, and we've taken a lot of our lessons learned. We've had some time to reflect on how it went and what sort of improvements we can make on it to expand it countywide and make it available to everybody throughout the county to be able to take advantage of it. So just kind of give you a quick background. Some of the big lessons learned out of it was the importance of our marketing and outreach efforts in this. All in all, in the very small pilot area that we had, ridership was relatively modest, but the people who did use it found it extremely useful. And the fact was that we were able to prove that this was something that could be done. It was something that could be replicated in other locations, not just in our county, but for other agencies. And with that, we found probably the most important part of it was marketing and outreach, and educating people on how it works, on how to use a third-party application like Uber or Lyft to be able to supplement their ride, particularly if it's going to be subsidized by the transit agency and help make your ride better and cheaper. So we've out of this also, we've really identified that we need to that Pinellas Park was, all in all, maybe not the best place to market the specific pilot, but we really identified and addressed some of those issues and moving forward and expanding it to really identify who the people are we want to market and capture new riders so that we can expand our customer base. Another goal of this that we learned out of our lessons is the importance of maintaining network connectivity and being true to ourselves as being a transit agency, that we're not giving Uber rides to people to get to Walmart, to get to Publix. We're giving rides for you to be able to get to a bus stop so you can use the system effectively. And we've really addressed that well in the expansion that Gabby's going to go over. And affordability. And we'll talk a little bit more about the affordability issue. But Gabby's going to talk to you more about how the expansion works.
Hey guys, has any of you ever taken an Uber?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, well now you'll be able to take Uber or a taxi cab from your home to any one of these 21 locations that we have here. You don't have to go to your closest bus stop. You can go to any 21 locations throughout Pinellas County, and PSTA will pay your first $5 of your trip. These 21 locations are strategically placed so that you will be able to connect to multiple routes. PSTA will be implementing a new marketing plan so we can go ahead and educate the riders on, how to get to these stops, anything that you need to know about Uber. We'll also have a taxi cab, United Taxi. Lyft is coming on board, and we're also looking into a wheelchair provider. This will be a 2-year contract, not to exceed $100,000. So I'm going to have Chris talk a little bit more about the new strategies that we're going out.
Thank you, Gabby. So as we sort of talk about creating these strategic locations and providing connectivity to the system and not just getting people to specific destinations, what these locations that you see in these start areas, most of them are really in the middle of a high frequency or better performing route that will afford you the ability to get on something that has relatively frequent service, that runs later hours, that will get you good connectivity to the rest of the system. So I think number 2 up here is a perfect example. That's a Klosterman in alternate 19, and it's we've created a nice size area that will provide a safe place for an Uber or a Lyft or whoever needs to drop you off at a location, and you can get on a ride there, but there's nothing there really for you to go to. And part of the outreach and expectation of this is to be able to, the Uber app lets you know how long an Uber is going to get there, how long it's going to take you to get to your spot, and you also educating people on how to combine that with our real-time technology. So now you can leverage the opportunity of knowing it's going to take you 6 minutes to get to your bus stop. You have your real-time bus app, and you can plan your route accordingly. And there is a minimum cost of $5.95 on an Uber, whether you go 10 feet or about 3 miles, depending on traffic. So the stars are located to capture a really good radius within there. So if we subsidize the first $5, the rider's going to pay about $1. So that's how we're addressing the affordability issue. And when we are splitting the cost 50-50 for a $6 Uber ride, the riders are still paying $3 on top of a bus ride. So the idea here is to bring that subsidy down to get it at an affordable level where riders will still be willing to take advantage of it. So if your ride's going to be $4.50, now it's $5.50. That's more affordable than $7.50 for most riders. I think an example of how we're going to approach our marketing and outreach, we are going to, when we launch this, we're going to focus on the Carillon area. The lay-by right out here, which many of you come to, has some really great connectivity. Come October, the 4 will come up here, the 59 at 15-minute frequency. That's an excellent opportunity for people who work in Carillon to be able to get on a bus that's reliable, has good hours, good frequency, and for $1 they can get to any of their places in Carillon. So that's going to be one of our opportunities to really focus on the marketing and capture new riders, because we know that most of the people in Carillon probably are not riding the bus at this time. So when we do these marketing efforts, we do want to maximize the opportunity to get new riders. The hours are going to expand. Right now it's 7 to 7, but with this we'll be doing our best to mirror most of the service that we have. So it'll be 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. And again, that new pricing model, we will pay for the first $5. So with the Uber, no matter what, PSTA will be paying the $5. United Taxi, if you're taking a very short ride, it may be a little less, and you may not have to pay anything. If it's, if you're going like a mile, I think a taxi ride's probably only $4. So the rider actually won't be paying anything on that ride. So that's the expansion in a nutshell here. We're looking to have this come out here in early next month, and we're definitely really excited about it. We hope that you all will have an opportunity to try it out, and as track members, help get the word out there on how to take advantage of this. Questions?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm an Uber driver, so I'm thinking of all kinds of things that could possibly happen.
Right.
If I pick them up and they're close to one of those places to drop them off to catch a bus and they want to get off before that, can I do that?
So the technology that we're working with Uber to be able to do this captures within 400 feet of the starred location. So some of these are right at bus stops. We tried to find locations that made sense where bus stops were pretty much right across the street from each other, going in each direction. Missouri and West Bay is a good example of a large intersection. We put the point right in the middle of the intersection, and we created a 400-foot buffer around it.
Okay.
So, an Uber driver will be able to pull into a CVS parking lot. There's a couple grocery store parking lots there, a hospital, I believe. So, and then in that example, there's 6 different stops that people can access, multiple routes going different directions. So. That will be part of the outreach and communication and making people understand
So they have to go to that bus stop then?
Okay, yes, so in order for this to work, you have to begin or end your trip at one of these locations. And United Taxi has a, United Taxi, they work directly with their drivers, who will be educated on where these stops are. And certainly, we created a 400-foot buffer for Uber because it's technology-based. Your phone just knows where you are. United Taxi's a little more flexible. If there's construction or something going on, we ask them to use their best judgment in creating a safe place to get dropped off.
So those are the places they can be dropped off at?
Dropped off, yes.
But-
Or picked up.
Or picked
You can
up,
either
okay.
begin or end your trip at those locations, yes.
So if you take a bus to say where the one is, you take the 19 up to where the one spot is, then you have a radius that you could use the Uber ride to go to any number of different places from
So once you get there, so let's say you're taking a bus and you get off at Tarpon, that's the Tarpon and Huey Transit
Yes,
Center up
yes.
there. So you order an Uber ride from there, let's say you live over in East Lake somewhere, PSTA is gonna pay for the first $5. To get over to East Lake, it might be more than 3 miles,
It will
but
be.
PSTA is paying the first $5 of that ride. But you have to start from that transit location.
And are there restrictions on how you can use it? I mean, does it have to be going to work or something like that? I mean, can people use that to go shopping? Or,
Right, and that's why we did our best, that's a good question, and that's why we did our best to find locations where, there are certainly some locations here where there's an opportunity for people to possibly do that. You can't avoid that 100%, but the probably 19 out of the 21 stops here, really, you get off there, there's a Publix. If you want to do that, you're going to walk a mile to a Publix. Tarpon and Huey's probably the toughest example. It's a location where we need to have one because we need that connectivity to East Lake, but it's probably a 15-minute walk for somebody to lug Walmart groceries there. They're going to do it. You can't prevent everything 100%.
Wait, Richard had a question, I think, and then we'll take Elizabeth's.
Yeah, when I was first looking over this, I was concerned that people wouldn't be able to use it if they don't have a smartphone. And so this is why you're talking about the taxis, because if somebody doesn't have it, they can call a taxi, right? Okay.
And I think, the taxi, the $5 doesn't get you as far if you're going too far. But again, in raising it to $5, it makes it more affordable, and you're putting, if we pay the first $5, if people really want to, if they're close to 3, but they need to go to 5, and they're willing to pay that extra cost, that's fine. That extra money is on them. We know that we're capping out our subsidy at the $5, and if they're willing to pay a few extra bucks to go to Park Street at the number 5 stop, they're paying for it, and not us. But again, they still have to go to one of the locations.
Elizabeth?
Okay. I'm at my house, I want to go somewhere, and I'm ambulatory, I don't need to be drag this chair around. Call them up, they pick me up at my house, and they can take me to the nearest bus stop. I go and have my adventure on the bus, the Tarpon Springs, wherever, you can go down south, whatever, 19, going the other way. Then I call Uber again, and I say, okay, I'm here, I don't want to get back on the bus, can you take me home? Okay, up to $5, they can take me back to my house. That's the idea. And if there happens to be shopping on that adventure, by all means go shopping. But it's not pick me up, take me to one of these spots, do my shopping, and then take me back home. Just call Uber, right?
Right, but as
I'm-
Chris said, there's really no shopping in any of those spots.
Right, and that's why you designed it that way, so people don't take advantage of that.
Right.
And that's a good thing.
Yes, and we're in trying to curb some of that concern,
Yeah.
right now, we are actually, right now, as we speak, Uber is working on figuring out a way to make it so that you can't get off at a stop and back on within half an hour.
Okay.
So people can't just jump off and
Okay,
run.
and it's
in.
not Uber to Uber Uber and go home again. And just Uber
Right now, they
to the bus
definitely,
system.
it's definitely set up so you can't go star to star. If you go from one star to the other, you're not, it automatically kicks you out of the discount
Okay,
and you're gonna get
okay,
charged full
okay.
price. And then they drop you off at, say, number 4, you're not gonna be able, you can't get back, you have to wait 30 minutes in order to
Okay.
get the subsidy again from there.
So the idea is take advantage of the bus routes,
Yes, ma'am.
which I like. I like that.
Carson, did you?
I was just curious, is it on your phone that they'll know that it's a transit-based trip? You tell the driver, like, what is the?
Yes, so right now, if any of you use Uber, if you go on your phone and you type in Shops at Park Place, you'll see a little PSTA button in there. So they have what's called geofencing, and it's really a virtual fence that we created a boundary, we provided it to Uber, they build it into the application, and the GPS is, as soon as you cross into it, the button just appears, and it says PSTA. And you can slide it to you have to slide it to the PSTA button so it knows, you have to do a certain set of steps, and it has to fall within one of these boundaries, it has to stay within PSTA. It can only happen between the hours of 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. And the technology does all that on the back end. And if you meet all the boxes are checked on the criteria, then you just will receive the discount, the $5 off, and PSTA gets invoiced on the back end.
Is there a limited number of times you can use it in a day, or is it?
That's a discussion that's come up, and right now we are not going to limit that. I think.
Got a problem, we might.
Yeah, I think there should be ways for us to quickly identify that, and right now with the TV late shift program, where the people are riding overnight for the low-income users, Uber lets us know when people are riding, like, if some people, they've let us know somebody used this 4 times in one night. We know they're not using it for work, and we shut them off right away. So there may be a way for us to tie users for the PSTA usage if they're doing it, a really odd amount of times, that we might want to flag that. So.
I'll ask it later. I mean, there's all kinds of convoluted thoughts about it. I'll ask it.
I think it's great to see you guys
Yeah.
expanding this.
Yeah.
What in particular are you it says this is an action item, what are you looking?
Yeah, so we're asking your recommendation to approve the contracts that are associated with this expansion. We had the Direct Connect 6-month pilot program, so these contracts will be with the same providers. We're working right now with adding on an additional wheelchair provider. Lyft will be an additional partner in this as well. So the contracts we're asking for your recommendation to approve them for 2 years. From the start date and not to exceed $100,000. So it'll be a pool of money that all the participants draw from, and so not any one entity gets a certain amount.
Is it 100,000 per year?
No,
Total.
4 to 2 year period.
What happens if you exceed that limit?
Then we need to go to the board for additional approval of monies.
Okay. That seems possible from that amount, I would think. Okay, any more questions or discussion? Sure, Dave.
What kind of, obviously with Uber, Lyft, the other electronic apps, you have some breadcrumbs, some paper trail, if you will, to check on the financial accountability. What kind of accountability is built in with the taxis, where essentially they claim they pick someone up and drop someone off?
Right. Well, we have the nice thing about, we've worked with United for a long time, and we've worked with them on this currently. At any point in time, we have the ability to audit a ride, and they can provide us with an exact account of the trip, of how it goes. Right now, we get the reporting from the late night shifts from them. It describes the person called at this time, it was dispatched at this time, this driver picked them up, and this is the route that it went to get them there. And so we have the ability to audit at any time. that answer what you're?
Possibly.
Possibly.
So rides are initiated through dispatch then?
Yes, yes. United does have a, United does have an app that can hail a taxi, but for the driver will be, responsible for ensuring that it's a valid ride. And judging from the pilot project, probably 98% of the rides were Uber rides, so we don't anticipate that to be too different. So it'll just be Uber and Lyft more than the taxis. But it's a good option to have for cash and equitable reasons. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the contracts not to exceed $100,000? Recommendation to that effect?
I'll make a motion.
Awesome. Second?
Second.
Dave? Super. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Awesome. Good job, Chris. And Gabrielle. All right, next up, we have the Regional Fair Collection presentation from Mr. Bloch over there.
Afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Walt Lenz, Senior Project Director at Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority. I'm here today to give you a little update on the official name is the Regional Interjurisdictional Mobility Project. I have no claim to fame for that name, but we like to call it as the Smart Card Project. So I'll give you a little background, and then we'll show you exactly where we're at with the project today. So back in November of 2012, a working group of 8 transit agencies was coming together to try to move forward and develop a new type of mobile ticketing e-fares. And this was a long process, but it involved again, at the time, 8 transit properties within the region, as well as TBARDA and the Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT. And after many stages and a lot of negotiations, a lot of procurements, et cetera, a contract was awarded to Innovations in Transportation, Inc. INIT would be their nickname. And so we have been working with them on the project, and what I'm going to show you today for a couple slides, and then obviously take a few questions, is where we're at right now. So moving on, and by the way, Lucian could not make it, so I'm doing the whole thing here, Brad.
Oh, I know.
I'm sorry, Lucian Campillo is the overall project manager from ART. We actually did this presentation back in August to Finance, Planning, and Board. We planned on doing it for you guys, but you didn't have the meeting, so we're here as a little follow-up. So Lucian Campillo, the overall project manager, was part of that, but due to scheduling conflicts, he couldn't make it here today. So project status, as you can see right here on the video, this will give you an idea of what a validator is, and you can see the person came up and tapped it with a smart card that has different fare value, fare media on it, and stored value. We are moving from our current system to a smart card technology with open payments and mobile applications. We expect to be done with this project and system sign-off around the summer of 2018, and we're on schedule currently. We will do some testing with the validator that you've seen in here in 2017 summer, and a back office software will be installed. And again, we started with 8 counties. Polk and Citrus have withdrawn currently, but our expectations are as time goes on, a lot of these agencies will come back into the fold once they see this functionality and how this technology works. So we're pretty confident we'll be welcoming them back. The first deliverable, and again, when I presented this back in August, this was not available to the public yet, which currently is now available to them as of Labor Day, but the first deliverable that we wanted to come out, and we wanted to give the public a taste of what's coming down the road. So we designed, working with INIT and getting some feedback from the other agencies, we came with what we call a limited mobile application, and it is a visual application on a smartphone, either Google or Apple phone. And it is a 3-day pass for $11. It is a pilot program that we did start when it came out on September the 5th. And when I get to the last slide, I'll show you a little bit of statistical information. It is good for 3 days. And again, it's a download free application. You can download it from the Google Play or Apple Store. It can be used on all HART and PSTA routes, including the Looper and Jolly Trolley. We brought them in towards the latter part of it, so you're involved with us now. And at HART, you can use it on your street card. The only services we do not allow it to be used is our paratransit or at HART's paratransit, so it's not accepted on those, but it's on all the different types of transportation with the two agencies. So one application, get on any HART bus, get on a streetcar, get on a PSTA vehicle, and ride. And what you're seeing here on the application, it is a visual application, and I'll talk a little bit more what's coming down the road in the future. So it is a little visual, so when you get on the bus, you present that to the bus operator, and it's animated, so with your smart devices, you can't do screenshots and all that, and it gives you an expiration date. And then the operator for PSTA hits a key on our fare box, and same with HART, and that's how we account for the various fares. Again, that'll change in the future. This is interesting, and again, when we presented this to the board back in August, the app was not available. So it's a little misleading on the slide. I apologize for that. It says the first week numbers are way ahead. But currently, the amount of applications downloaded, and again, if I had to redo this, I'd probably put that on top. 380 people have downloaded this application since Labor Day when we first started it, and 184 of the passes have been sold. The ridership at PSTA using this application, we're up to 532 folks using it within 2 weeks, and HART has up to 636 folks that are using the application. Talking to the bus operators here at PSTA and my counterpart, Lucian over at HART, when the first week this started, and I would go out and I would ask the operators, hey, have you seen the app yet? My answer was no, oh yes, maybe one. In the last couple of days, I went back and talked to the bus operators, and what I'm hearing now is yes, yes, and yes, and interestingly enough, I'm hearing, yeah, about 3 or 4 times. So the application is really growing well, and we're pretty excited. I would say at this point, it is actually exceeding our expectations. So, this is the last slide right here, but I just wanted to talk a little bit more about what's this all mean going forward. There's a lot of technology involved in this. There is going to be this application that we're currently have out there for our customers will evolve into what we call a more robust type of application. It will allow you to have different fare media on it, all of our passes. It will allow you to put stored value on it. So you can opt out to use a pass. You can just put a type of monetary stored value on it. As you get on the bus, it will deduct that money from you. And if you go back to the previous slide, it will all interact through this validator, which currently is not on the buses. So again, right now, the passenger comes on the bus, shows the bus operator the visual app, the bus operator looks at it. Going forward in the future, the passenger will come on and will interact with this validator. If it's an application, they'll come up and they'll scan it. If it's a smart card, they'll come up and they'll tap it. We're also going to allow the use of Apple Pay and Google Pay. So, and our reasoning for this is we think this is a good reach out to our tourism. So when they come down on the beaches and things like that, and they're not familiar with our fare and don't want to go through the process of maybe downloading an app, or so to speak, or maybe buying one of our fare media cards, they can use Apple Pay and Google Pay. We also, the system is allowed to use credit cards, but it's limited to the type of credit cards, and I'm not real well experienced in this, I've learned this, unless your credit card has wireless accessibility to it, like an RFID reader, which is mostly European type credit cards. The North American market hasn't really developed there yet. If you do have that type of card, you can actually take your credit card and tap it, and it'll charge you the appropriate fare. In lieu of that, what you would do is take your credit card and assign it to your, like if you Google Pay or Apple Pay, and then use it in that way. So the bottom line here is we're giving our passengers and our customers a better way to ride the vehicles. It's one technology which will allow you to ride anywhere within the region, not necessarily the same fare. For instance, if HART or Pasco or Manatee, for example, have a different fare, that's fine, they can keep that. But they will not have to go out and buy a different smart card or a different application. One fits all, and it will know through the back office software the appropriate amount of fare and how to deduct it. So It is very exciting stuff which is coming down the road. It's probably the most exciting project that I've been involved with, other than maybe the real-time project here at PSTA. There is a lot of people putting a lot of work in on this, and we feel it's going to be a great success. It's going to take a little bit to roll out, but all good things take some time. And this is what we're looking for, and we're pretty excited about it. I am now open for any questions you may have.
Okay.
Sorry,
What?
inquisitive mind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for.
If I take a PSTA over to Hillsborough County and get on the bus over there, it charges me again for the fare apart?
Yes.
Okay, it's not a pass.
Yes.
Not a pass.
And the way the back office is set up is which property gets the funding, it's where you first tap on, if I recall how this is going to function. So if you tap on a PSTA bus, that revenue comes our way. If you tap on a Heart bus going across the bay, that revenue goes their way. So,
To answer your question, if you buy at the current
Pass.
3-day for $11 pass, you get 3 whole days.
Yes.
And you can ride
Anywhere.
unlimited number of buses in Pinellas and then go over to Hillsborough. It's not going to charge you any more than that.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you were talking about the visual app, my apologies. This 3-day, you can ride anywhere within the Tampa Bay for PSTA
For one fare?
for one fare. $11, 3 days, unlimited.
It's just like our paper pass, our card pass that we have
Yeah.
right now, so.
Yeah.
And actually, we're giving you a better bang for the buck
Well,
on
no, but
this
I'm
one.
just saying, it works the same way. You
Yeah,
can
it
ride as
does,
many
yeah.
times as you want to on that pass, so.
Sorry, I misunderstood your
That's
question.
pretty good.
And will that unlimited pass still be available once this gets instituted, or is that just for the pilot program?
Very good question. Thanks, Elaine, for bringing that up. Originally, when we went down this road, and it still currently is set up to expire in March the 7th as a pilot, but we're rethinking. We're thinking that we may want to continue with this application and maybe build on it. We have a feeling, especially after we spent a lot of time, us and Hart, marketing this, that if we pull it back, and this is just my opinion, it's nothing set in stone, and we're going to get a lot of, why'd you pull this back? So I think this is involved into, it's going to be here, and we're going to take that platform and we're going to build on it, because the more robust application, which is going to come down, is going to give you, again, trip planner, more type of fare media, and all the different bells and whistles. So we think we're going to be keeping this for a while. For the price, that's decided by people other than myself. Will we maintain the $11 for the 3-day? I don't know. That would be the Brad Miller's and Kathy Egan's kind of questions and going forward. But we think at this point we're going to continue this app and maybe build on top. We've actually given our provider in it a kind of a heads up that we're really thinking about doing this. It's a good question.
Have any of you heard of the Flamingo app before this presentation?
Yes.
You're ready.
I checked it out on the first day.
You did?
Yeah.
And then have any of you actually downloaded it? Or
Yeah, I have it on my phone.
384 or whatever?
But I haven't paid for anything yet.
Yeah, it's, we do have is on our website, we do have a banner that will take you and give you some information on the application if you have any questions about how to download it. But this is what you're looking at right now.
Yeah, cool.
It's pretty.
And then when it's what?
It's pretty.
Okay.
Well, like a flamingo,
That's pretty.
like a
All right,
flamingo.
and what we do encourage the passenger to tap it. It's another security issue. By tapping it, it changes a little bit of color. We are finding out, again, in talking to some of the bus operators, I was curious on how many, we have a little slogan called Tap the App, how many tapping it, and maybe 65% of the customers are tapping it. So most of the time, the bus operators say, can you tap the app? It's just the security. And also the expiration date on it. Interestingly enough, one of the things our bus operators always have to have discussions with passengers is on expirations. They look at the expiration date. What's nice about this app is once it's expired, the ticket's no longer there. So when it makes its expiration date, it's deleted. So the operator really doesn't have to have any issues with your Flamingo app is expired, because if it's expired, it's not usable. It just deletes itself.
Anyone else? David?
On your numbers initially, just curious, because you have a number of passes sold, 184, but the number of rides, 532.
Mhm.
So would that be just those people have multiple rides?
Yes, and it's a good question. Let me explain a little bit more in detail. Obviously, we have quite a few people that have downloaded it, which is the number of apps downloaded. And Bytemark, who is the subcontractor for this right now, working within it, does provide us the software so we can get these statistical information. So out of 380 were downloaded, 184 so far have actually bought the pass. Okay, they've actually bought the ticket or the pass. So you can obviously download the app without going forward and buying a ticket. The ridership is, yes, they're probably using it multiple times. Without the validator on the bus, we cannot get the type of information that we will in the future. We don't know a lat along where this actually went on which bus. So we're really pulling this information currently from our GFI fare box, because if you remember, I told you the operator hits a specific key. When we get the validator on, it will give us a lot more statistical information, including where that passenger boarded with either the app or the smart card. So we will actually get location boardings, which is pretty exciting stuff.
After the 3 days, you can download it again and charge it up again?
Yes, you assign a credit card to it, and you can also do multiple. So you can go purchase like 3 or 4 tickets and then activate them all at once. So if 4 of you was on there, the ticket would show 4 passes,
Okay.
so to speak.
Okay.
So you don't have to keep doing a ticket at a time. So it gives you a lot. It gives you a lot of options. 4 or 5. I believe we limited it to 10, but I don't think anybody's pushed it to that limit yet. Anything else? Well, again, it's been a while since I spoke in front of TRAC. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay.
That was it. Do we have
One question I had was, where did the name Flamingo come from?
Oh, lordy. That's a good question, though.
We have a.
We, our marketing department, Cindy, who's not here right now, she got together with a advertising consultant, and then they pulled a lot of different people and came up with a lot of different names. And there was a vote. It came down to a vote. Some of us had our ideas of what the application should be, and some other folks had the application. So it was true democracy. And it went out for a vote, and thereupon the name. And it was a little bit more complicated than that, because once we identified the name, there was the branding, the colors, and all those different things that our marketing people deal with, and I have no clue. They would never trust me with any of that stuff.
So do you want
So
to tell them what the flaw and the go?
Florida, Maine, go. So it was a little takeout on the name, and that's why it's kind of highlighted in the color. And this little critter here, when we first went to the advertising company, and I'm not going to say the acronym because every time I say it, I screw it up. There was about 35 different types of designs for this little sucker right here. So it was a very intense process, and a lot of people put a lot of work in. And there was a lot of reasoning behind it, especially from our marketing folks, on why it should be branded, what's the color schemes, what's that all come to mean. And we, as project management, just sat back and said, run with this, guys. And they came up with a beautiful design.
Super.
Anything else? Again, thank you.
All right.
Tell all your friends to download it.
Yeah.
Get that 380 up there.
Especially at $11
we should,
per day.
Yeah, you cannot beat the price on this.
we should download the app
Yeah,
anyway.
absolutely.
So this is good for the Trans-Bay bus too? That goes from.
Yeah. So it's called, what's it called on the App Store?
It's called Tampa Bay
Flamingo.
Fairs Flamingo.
Flamingo Affairs.
Flamingo Fairs Tampa Bay.
Yeah, we had to throw a Tampa Bay in there because if you just go to Google Store or Apple Store and you type in flamingo, you'll get a lot of different weird birds. So we had to throw a fear word in there. Fear, F-A-R-E, thank you.
I just typed in Flamingo and it came up with that logo,
Yes.
Flamingo Fairs Tampa.
There you go. Yep. So download it, get the word out there. We did put some, we got some information in the buses. Again, we do have a banner which will redirect you to some information on our PSTA website, give you some more information on the Flingo app, how to download it, buy the tickets, etc.
All right, do we have anything else? Does anybody anything? No? All right, so I think that we are adjourned in that case. Super, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this week
New
is
track.
Okay, that's all right then.